Stream.
Okay.
Hold your profanities. Do we need thumbs up from you, or it's not on yet?
It looks like it's about to start running.
Good shape.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, ready?
Ready.
Yep. We will call this September 1, 2020 meeting of Lawrence County Board of Commissioners to order. I know, isn't it crazy? September 1. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. Mike, would you lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All, please remain standing for a brief moment of silence. Thank you. Chris, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here.
Commissioner Boyd?
Here. We have quorum. I'll note for the record that we are being recorded both on YouTube, which is being live streamed to our YouTube channel for public consumption, as well as internally for our own purposes in compiling the minutes. With that in mind, I would ask that any speakers, any public comment, or any staff requests for a resolution come up and speak into that microphone just so we're sure it picks up. That being said, do we have any row officers with us today? I'm looking around. The only one I would probably classify would be Mike, just as a representative of the courts. Do you have anything above and beyond what's on the agenda?
No, thank you.
Okay. Public comments. Do we have any public comments? Anybody wish to address the board from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to fiscal and contractual. We have no advertising for bids or proposals, no receipt of bids or proposals, no fiscal reports, no report on quotes. We have two warrant registers dated August 26th and August 28th. I'll give my colleagues a minute to look those over and take a motion to accept the warrant registers.
I will move for acceptance.
Second. Hearing a motion is second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, questions on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Up next, approval of the Tuesday, August 25th, 2020 meeting minutes. Again, I'll get my colleagues a minute to look those over. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes. Yeah. Move on, sir.
I'll move for adoption of the minutes.
I will second.
All right, hearing a motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. We have one written correspondence for today. Letter notification for filing of the Cedar Street, Newcastle 138 kV transmission line tap to the 911 industrial substation project from First Energy. Basically what this is, it states that ATSI, which is American Transmission Systems Incorporated, is proposing to install a 600-foot long transmission line tap from the existing Cedar Street, Newcastle 138. I'm assuming, Jeff, you might know this. What's KV? Kilovolt transmission line to the 911 industrial substation. TAP will provide transmission service to the 911 industrial substation. The proposed project located in the city of Newcastle. I'll note that we are required by state law to receive certain communications when certain projects are undertaken by different entities in Lawrence County, whether that be those projects be related to certain permitting from the Department of Environmental Protection or the Department of Transportation, or just things like this. The commissioners, while we are required to be notified, we don't have any statutory or ability to green light or red light any projects. We're just very simply required to be kept in the loop. So with that being said, also note this has nothing to do with our 911 systems.
Right.
No, and that's Commissioner Vogler had just said something again from last week. I don't know, that's just what they're calling it. It looks like reading through there that it's their 911 station. So
Yeah.
no idea. Not with us.
Yeah. But I'll take a motion to accept and file correspondence.
So moved.
Second, for a motion, second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, question on the motion, please, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Are there any staff, I see numerous members of our staff or department heads out in the audience today. Are there any staff reports above and beyond what's already on the agenda for today? Seeing none, we'll move on to commissioner reports and comments. And Dan, you're on deck first today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to report today.
All right, looks like I'm next. First and foremost, I want to say I'm not going to make anybody sing or have anybody sing, but happy birthday to Dan on Thursday.
I warned him not to. He did it anyway.
No, we agreed not to sing.
I'm going,
Oh, this is true.
and I'm going to be out of the county on.
Yes. So we should sing?
No.
Yes, please.
No, thank
I'll have to turn my microphone off.
Happy birthday, Dan.
Happy birthday.
We're going to DoorDash a cake to the hotel. But on top of that, I will note that we are providing through the CARES Act funding for the various volunteer fire companies in Lawrence County. Director McKinney today put a link on our website at co.lawrence.pa.us/CARES-Act for any fire companies, volunteer fire companies that wish to apply for that funding. Funding will be awards will be based on a combination of the volunteer fire companies' loss, as well as their call volumes in 2019. But we would encourage, all volunteer fire companies to apply for this. Based on the federal and state guidelines, I will note that you have to be a 501c3 or a 501c19 in order to qualify for this funding, and that is not us.
Right.
If it was up to us, we'd fund all the fire companies regardless, just by the regulations set forth in this funding. You have to be a 501c3 or a 501c19. But again, encouraging all fire companies to apply for that. Hopefully we'll be able to give them some help.
Absolutely. Which is always good. They're always having their fundraisers and always, behind trying to get things accomplished and done to maintain their status.
Mhm.
So any help that we could give to them is definitely a boost.
Yeah, you have to have it.
Yes,
You don't have a choice. They provide
Right.
a necessary function,
correct.
and they do it for free.
Yes,
So,
yes,
we're very thankful for them, and we're going to try to help them
absolutely.
out. Commissioner Spielvogel.
Well, I know it's a subject every week I bring up, but, along with the CARES funding, that's always something that is on our minds, and there's discussion with it every day. Things go on with it and changes happen, but also we need to just be reminded that, the census is winding down, and we're at 67%. We dropped. Yeah, okay. Well, we have to continue to mention to everyone to get that census filled out, and people will be knocking on doors. So don't be alarmed, but they will have identification. So don't be afraid to ask either if somebody comes knocking on the door. But get those forms filled out, get them turned in. You could do it online. It matters for the next 10 years for funding. Thank you.
All right, we can move on. We have a number of resolutions today. And we'll try to go through them as expediently as possible. But first up, we have domestic relations, resolution for discussion and possible approval to enter into an agreement with Johnson Controls. So Tracy, what do we have going on here? Welcome, by the way.
Hello. This is a contract for our fire alarm in our office with the smoke detectors, the audio visual alarm system.
Okay, so this is like basically maintenance agreement.
Maintenance agreement, yes.
Seems the theme is leaning towards fire.
Right.
Um, Any questions from my colleagues? Do we know what the total cost of contract is?
$412.75.
Oh, that's an easy one. Chris, what number would that be?
244.
Take that resolution 2020-244 unless there's any objections.
No objections.
All right, that's a pretty simple one. If you want to stick around, you're welcome to stick around. If you got to get back over, we understand that. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.
All right, up next, we have Director Parrish with Public Safety. For resolution discussion possible approval to accept Lawrence County Pandemic Plan.
Yeah. I brought along our intern Bucky.
What's going on, Bucky? Welcome to the party.
Morning, everybody.
Yes.
Maybe the circus.
Bucky has been with us for, how many hours do you keep track of?
200 hours coming up here. It's been about 2 months here.
Jeff's taking care of you all right?
Yeah, doing pretty well over there.
Great.
So he has a couple of days left, actually. Next Tuesday is a week from today, the
Wow,
last day.
fast.
So he's been, with the pandemic coming on, or whenever it was in full force, we weren't sure if we were gonna get anybody, but I know through communications, we found out. And he was a great find. I can't say enough about this. Man, I mean, he hit the ground running. It didn't take a lot of oversight, and we steered him in a direction, and he's worked on a couple of plans, and rightfully so, his major is public health. So we put him right in the midst of it.
Perfect
and
fit. Yes,
Started into
excellent.
it, and it all fell into place with our pandemic plan that we had brought back out and dusted it off from a couple of years ago. We look at them every couple of years, but we brought it back out in March, made a few tweaks. Whenever the COVID-19 struck, and just to make sure we were in line with everything. So then whenever he came on board, I said the perfect fit for him. So he went top to bottom and reached out for different municipalities, different areas. So that's why it's here now in front of you folks for the approval. You know, we have to, since we redid the whole plan from front to back, we changed a lot of it instead of just doing a page update here and there. So we wanted to re-promulgate it or do a resolution that we're accepting and moving forward. But I wanted to bring Bucky forward to introduce him to you folks and everybody and let you know what he did. And if he wants to just give a brief description a little bit about some of the changes that he made and then who he talked to and what he did. So,
Excellent.
Yeah, so commissioners, thank you for having me here today. It's a pleasure to speak with you all about this plan here. And it was a pleasure to kind of work on it and do something so meaningful for the county that I grew up in here. Whenever I first came in and took a look at the plan, we had a plan that was written specifically to address pandemic influenza. That made sense since our last major pandemic was the H1N1 or swine flu in 2009. However, taking that plan and applying it to our current situation was a bit challenging. So with that, Jeff set me up with contacts all throughout Pennsylvania, different counties, city of Pittsburgh, things like that. Got a hold of their pandemic plans. They kind of looked at how people were adjusting given the new situation. So I went through and made sure any references, any specific information to pandemic influenza was revised and made sure that it could be generally applicable across all pandemics, not just flu-related ones. However, I didn't want to give up the information we had on pandemic influenza, nor did I want to leave out anything crucial related to COVID. So there's also a series of appendices added to the end, including threat assessments on various pathogens that could rise to pandemic level events. Aside from that, the concept of operations, which is sort of the meat of the plan, that's what the county is going to do in response to these things. It's been revised in response to available WHO and CDC data. Specifically, there's 3 phases and 6 stages within those. That's kind of going to be our operation for how we'll work through this stage 1 to 6, kind of different priority with increasing, level of threat there. This has, I think it's around 50 pages of detail on what the county is going to do in each of these steps. Everything from, fire response to the hospitals that we have within the county. There's something for everything along the way there. And yeah, aside from that, we have just kind of a newly updated pandemic plan and one that I think should be workable for, decades to come within the county here. Just some minor updates here and there, assuming new pandemic threats arise, but this is something that should be lasting here. If you have any other questions, though, I'm happy to kind of go into detail about the plan.
Well, first of all, thank you for
Right.
putting that all together for us. What year are you in at Slippery Rock?
I'm actually have 2 more classes here in the fall, and then I'll graduate with my master's.
And what are you looking to do after you get out?
Originally I was going in for hospital administration, but after working kind of with the county in this respect, the more public health side of things, perhaps with the state or even in the county capacities, become increasingly interesting to me.
Look at that.
Good, excellent.
Well, it's good to hear that Jeff's having an impact.
A good effect on someone, right?
My only
You know my
question,
son,
how
do I have a
all
big-
of us- Yes, so, okay, good, very, that's excellent. Thank you
Bucky's a
so much
very
for
smart
that.
individual. I tell you what, I mean, he impresses me. I mean, with the stuff, there was very
Right.
little, when I want to say overseeing, again, with them. I mean, gave him the guidelines, gave him contacts, and,
Yes,
put him in the right direction and away he went. So
Very
it was a pleasure.
excellent.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, thank you. Any other questions?
You have a
I'm
question?
fine, yeah.
Yeah, I do. Thank you both for being here today. And it's good to see you again, Bucky. It's been a few years, but this isn't your first go-around in county government.
No, it isn't.
He actually worked in court administration.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's your third go-around.
Yeah.
We actually taught him everything he knows.
No, I didn't call it in Texas, Congratulations.
We wish we could take credit for all that.
Jeff, a number of years ago, you sat down with a prior board of commissioners, and it may have been this actual document that we're referencing today, so you can help me with this. I do recall your briefing us on plans that are in place in the event that you had to do a massive distribution of medicine. And you had sites identified where particularly it could be a drive-through type of format. Is this that same plan or is this a different plan?
No, sir, it's another plan. We have a plan for a plan for a plan.
Okay.
And that is the mass distribution of medical countermeasures. And actually, Bucky looked at it again too. That was sort of his first delve into little things with Mackenzie that had done it previously. And we sort of tweaked some of that.
I can speak to it a little bit. As Jeff mentioned, that's something that I believe perhaps FEMA or PEMA has been kind of pushing us to make sure we have finalized.
Okay.
I've taken a look at it and I do have kind of a revitalized draft done, kind of using the same process, reaching out to other counties. I believe we had Clarion County.
That's a different one.
That is.
That's
That's another
honestly,
plan.
yeah, that's why it gets confusing.
Wow,
That is
okay.
the distribution plan. This is the POTS plan
Okay.
that we were talking about, that we go to Elwood and
Apologies,
stuff.
Commissioner.
Yeah, no, and it is very confusing because you look at it, we have a mass distribution, then we have a distribution plan, and yeah, welcome to the world of FEMA and their
Right,
plans.
oh my gosh,
So-
right.
That was the first one that we looked at with the medications to go to
Yeah.
different ones, but he has been working on, we were just laid upon this plan beginning of this year. Oh, by the way, this has to be done by September. And we're gonna move out.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's what that is. But it all goes hand in hand. The mass distribution is the thoughts that we've exercised already. We have in Elwood City and Shenango. Again, the Department of Health comes in and revitalizes everything per what they say. So that's another act and we're still in progress.
The question I would then have is, and this is somewhat hypothetical, if a vaccine is successfully developed for the COVID, and would this be a possible means by which that vaccine could be administered,
Yes, sir.
more or less a drive-through format with different locations
Yes, sir.
throughout the county?
That's
Okay.
actually being talked about. We actually have a meeting set up with our DOH representative. Whenever he gets back to us on some days that they are looking, he wants to meet before the end of this month, that they are looking at some possible drive-through or vaccination. They're talking one maybe for now, or they're drive-through walk-in or whatever.
Okay,
So that is, yeah.
that's good to know, and I think we would all agree that we hope it happens sooner rather than later, and that could be an option for the means by which that vaccine could be administered to
Yes.
people. Okay, thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
That's where the one plan rolls into the other. It's
All the work that happens, just, again, that iceberg effect. You get to where you're at, it's a lot underneath the water that's gone before.
It is, yeah, there's a lot to.
How many plans do we have?
This is 11, this is about 11, 12, well, this is two.
At least 13 I counted.
The one that you're working on now, the new one is
Number 11.
11. Yeah, we have at least 11 of them that are the true obligated plans, and we have several other ones, so we're like 14, 15, depending on. Yeah, the ones we're required to have, or we're up to like 14 that we're required to have.
Well, all I know is that, when I first stepped into this job, I remember going through the budget and looking at emergency management and all the planning that goes into it and thinking, what the hell do we need all of this for? This makes we're spending so much money
Right.
to put together all of this infrastructure in the event that, the 1 in a million event that something happens. And then 2 months later, the 1 in a million event hits. And it struck me and you go, oh, this is why we
That's
spend this
why.
money. So, you guys, and I've said it before, you look at the budget, it's something, if you're in a period where something hasn't happened in a long time and you're going, why are we even spending $100,000 on this? And then when something hits and you guys step up to the plate, and
Yes.
public safety has stepped up to the plate, you go, you go, well, I would have paid.
That's why.
$10 million
Yes,
for
that's
this.
why.
Another plan that we were working on even before this and last year, I mean, that's where Commissioner Grover was going, was our COOP plan, our county operational planning, which we
Right.
put into effect early, so that's another thing that we're trying to finalize also. But we sort of put that, you guys sort of pull the
Yes.
trigger now for leading operation. So, everybody, the department heads can think of how they did it and put it in writing and we can have it on the phone.
Mhm. Keep in mind, that was less of a written down execution and
I
more of an implementation on the spot. Yeah. It was a trial and error.
Happening, right. Oh, gosh.
So yeah, if I get several more of them throughout the year, I'll be happy. So.
We are glad, definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And good luck. Good luck in the future, yes. Yes.
All right, we'll make that resolution, unless there's any objections, we'll make that resolution, 2020-245. And you guys are welcome to stick around if you're gonna get back to it, we understand.
It's up to you. You want to watch government work?
Every once in a while, we do that, we do work.
Okay.
Up next, Director McKinney, we have resolution for discussion possible approval to enter into an agreement with the attached list of municipalities for the COVID-19 relief fund. Amy, welcome back.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, you're another one of those departments
Oh, my
that
gosh.
is, on top of their game.
She could not find a state park far enough, deep enough, or high enough away that there wasn't a cell tower for us to reach her.
Well, it's like, I met with Dan Kennedy a couple weeks ago for lunch. And this was back when you were still in your canyons. And he mentioned, he said, you took the time to go on vacation to talk with him just about demo and some of the improvements that he wants to have in Langston Township. So, thank you for your dedication.
Absolutely.
Thank you, just as with public safety, thank you for the planning department's commitment,
Without a doubt.
to this county and getting us through COVID-19.
Thank you, appreciate that. And just want to mention too, when you mentioned the fire departments, just so everybody does know that I did just send an email out, I sent the email out letting them know about the announcement. And they're also getting a hard copy of the application in the mail that'll go out today as well too, so.
Awesome.
Yeah, so if anybody calls your office, that, there's an email was sent and there's a hard
Okay,
copy in the mail, but they can all, there were not emails for every
everyone.
fire department, so I got those from Jeff, but there wasn't for everybody, but.
Yeah, we try to
I think
keep
the
this
hard copy's
current.
going out.
There's like two, I think we
Hard
did.
copy's going out today too, so they'll get it in the mail, and they can always contact me if they have any questions.
I saw them there in big manila envelopes. so
You're
it'll
ready
be
to go.
impossible to miss.
Ready to go. So yeah, the reason I'm here today is we're still working with our municipalities. I have got some more agreements in from the city of Newcastle, Mahoning Township, Neshannock Township, Pulaski Township, Shenango Township, Washington Township, and Belmont Borough. Yeah, so they're still coming in. I'm not sure what number this brings us up to. I think
Your
last week-
document last week had 12.
Okay, so
Okay.
how many was this?
This was 7, you're up to 19.
19, we have had one municipality opt out.
Which
So
municipality was that?
that was Perry Township. So that brings us, I need 7 more. So I will again reach out to them today.
You contact SMPJ and tell them to get their stuff in.
Yeah, I will reach out to the remaining ones and just remind them. But yes, we're almost there. I have started to receive some reimbursement requests with the municipalities.
Okay.
So I'm in communication with them. I need some more documentation. And I did send one completed folder over to Dan, our auditor, to review, so.
Awesome.
Which was what municipality was the completed
That
one
was
from?
Malcolm Borough that I sent over to Dan, and their reimbursement's like almost 8,000, so.
And just to clarify, this is Dan the auditor, not Dan the
auditor,
commissioner.
Yeah, I'm not commissioner about their,
The smart Dan.
Yeah, Dan, our auditor, we've been working very closely with, today is September 1st, and our first FSR, which I'm not really sure what that dance floor.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty like important to say. I had to submit my FSR, and that gets submitted today, showing all of our.
Funding stream report.
Yeah, there
How
you go.
about that?
Showing all of our expenses that we paid out under the CARES Act, reporting that to UCD. So, Dan, the auditor, is also reviewing that. So we're moving. It's a work in
You
progress.
have not stopped,
Very
yeah,
good,
and you
yeah.
continue.
Nonstop, but,
Goodness.
I leave here every day and think where the next time goes, so that's all right. So yes, these are all the recipient agreements. We have everything from the municipalities, and so once you guys sign off on this, we'll get it back to them, and they can start sending in their reports.
Sounds good. I think that's an easy pass. Any questions?
Other than, right before you duck out, I need you for about a 2-second sidebar. And I'm just gonna hand you something and whisper something and just take a second, okay? Thank you.
We'll make that resolution 2020-246. And we'll do the check.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Chairman.
No problem. Up next, we have Mike Ackerman with courts for resolution discussion possible approval to enter into a contract agreement with John Bonjavingo for contract counsel with CYS. Mike, what do we have going on here?
Yes, sir. As we know, when Nora Toronto moved over from conflict counsel from CYS to solicitor, they left a vacancy. So Judge Amato appointed John Bonjavingo to fill that position, and that's what the contract would be for.
Make that resolution 2020-247. Any questions for Director Ackerman?
No, sir.
How many cases was, I suppose now Solicitor Duano working on when she got moved from her past position up to CYS?
I'm not sure of the number. I know that there were quite a few that there were conflicts on sides of her moving from one side to the other. In those particular cases, I think Judge Acker is going to possibly court appoint Anastasia Williams on from to take over
Right.
those
Right.
cases. And that helps Nora out
Yes.
quite a bit. So I know also that we discussed this about if there's any other conflicts that Nora has, the county may consider even hiring somebody on your end part-time or through contract to take care of those cases if the court-appointed ones become costly. So that might be something that you guys look at. Being Nora worked on one side and I was working on the other, we're running into a little bit of that. But I think John is a good fit for this
Yes.
because John does a lot of criminal cases and he does not have a lot of conflict with either side. So I think he would do a good job.
And I'll note that this agreement is from August 24th, 2020 through December 31, 2020. So we'll get a chance to revisit all of these for the 2021 budget, do
Right.
a cost assessment, make sure we're at the optimal level of
Yes.
conflict,
Right.
conflict counsel with CYS counsel.
Perfect.
And compensation shall be set at $24,000 per contract year. And in the resolution, it notes that the compensation will be prorated, taking into account that obviously Mr. Bonjavingo is starting August 24th and the contract's only rolling through December 31.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
All right, any additional? All right, we'll make that resolution 2020-247. You're welcome to skip around if you want to take off, we understand.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now we have trouble.
Okay.
Director Bolton, MHDS. We have a couple different resolutions here. Resolution for discussion possible approval to enter an agreement with Clark Enterprises, to enter an agreement with Patches Place, to enter an agreement with Vocational and Psychological Services, and to enter an agreement with Whole Life Services. So Scott, what do we have going on?
Good morning. This will be a renewal contract with, between MHDS and Lark Enterprises Incorporated. The contract will run from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. The contract is not to exceed $559,936 and is paid through block grant funding. LARC is a longtime supporter, provider of employment services and skill development for ID and mental health individuals.
And Commissioner Vogler, correct me if I'm wrong, you serve on that
I
board,
do
correct?
serve on that board, and I was gonna make note of that fact as I do every year.
Right.
I vote on these simply because while I am on their board, I do not receive any compensation for being on that board. It's a volunteer position, but thank you for noting that.
And then we'll move on to, and they do great work over at LARC. I think,
Absolutely,
you know, it's one of the phenomenal, another one of the phenomenal institutions we have,
yes.
have in this county. Up next, we have Patches Place.
Yeah,
What a fun name.
this is a renewal. They go by a couple of different things, but it's between MHDS and Catches Place where Lawrence County cares. The contract runs from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. The contract is not to exceed $399,594.80 paid via block grant funding. Patches Place is the old West Side Elementary School. They operate our drop-in center, our consumer satisfaction team, and our REP AE program for mental health individuals.
All right, any questions, comments?
No.
Just a note, prior board was invited by Patches Place a number of years ago to tour their facility, which is the old West Side School up on West Washington Street. And I would hope maybe once COVID goes away,
Yes,
if my colleagues would like to see that facility, maybe you could coordinate such a tour. Same would apply to LARC. You know,
absolutely.
they have two facilities, one in Shenango, one in Neshannock. And again, when it's safer to do so, maybe that'd be something we could.
That'd be what, yeah, great. Yeah, Patches has really been doing a lot of food distribution through all the COVID. And they both have been, they're both great partners to have.
Very good.
Make that resolution 2020-249. Vocational and psychological services, a less fun name.
And this is another renewal contract between MHDS and Vocational Psychological Services. The contract will run from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Contract is not to exceed $17,500 paid via block grant funding. VocaPsych does our IQ testing, adaptive functioning, and respite care for ID and mental health individuals.
Any questions or comments?
No.
Make that 250. And whole life services.
This is another renewal contract between MHDS and Whole Life Services Incorporated. Contract runs from July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Contract is not to exceed $34,000 paid by block grant funding. Whole Life Service provides case management, community supports for employment, socialization for ID individuals.
And I guess the question I would have, and this goes for the full slate, are these all renewals?
Yes, they are.
Make that 251. Any other questions?
No.
All right, you're welcome to stick around if you wish. If you're gonna take off, we understand.
Correct.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, last on the docket, we have a resolution for discussion and possible approval to convey parcels to Dawn Enterprises. This was put on the agenda by Solicitor Leslie. I guess from what I understand, I talked to Solicitor Leslie yesterday. The prior board entered into an option agreement with Dawn Services to buy the parcels mentioned in this resolution, which are parcels 03-205 400, 03-205-100, and 03-208-600, all of which are located on Lower East Side, and they relate to Dawn's Lower East Side project, the rehabs that they're
Right.
doing in that neighborhood of the city of Newcastle. But from my understanding, the former board entered into an option agreement with Dawn Services to acquire these three parcels. Dawn Services or Dawn Enterprises is executing its option. Each parcel will be sold, I believe Tom said, it's either $90 or $99.
I'd like to propose adding language under the first whereas, after it says Walnut Street. Could we add to that third ward, City of Newcastle? And the reason I suggest that, I know, for example, in Bessemer Borough, there's a Walnut Street. Now, I understand that the
Okay.
parcel numbers would note that,
Right,
but I think
right.
for just if we ever have to look back on this resolution, it might eliminate any
Right.
possible confusion. So that would be my proposed amendatory language, that we note that it's in the 3rd ward of the city of Newcastle. Thank you for that.
Absolutely, yeah. And we'll make that change effectively right now, so that we don't have to go through a motion amendment
Right.
process.
Sure.
Any other comments? Questions? All right, we'll make that resolution 2020-252. All right, and we have a number of administrative transfers. Before I take a resolution to amend the agenda to allow for voting on these resolutions, we'll just go through the admin transfers, make a simple motion, and go from there. So the first
Okay.
admin transfer, the reason for this transfer is low funds, is coming from MJ Diamodi's office, money needed for supplies and equipment. She is moving from temporary, part-time, all of these. So $2,000 from materials and, temporary part-time to materials and supplies, $1,000 from temporary part-time to Staples, and $300 from temporary part-time to her equipment, line item. Next up, we have our recycling and solid waste department. We're moving $300 from grants and programs over into postage. Obviously, due to COVID-19, you're seeing an increased need for mail services.
Right.
And as a result of that, many of our postage accounts are seeing an increased need for usage. We're sending out more things via mail just by the nature of the pandemic that we face. So that's just a very simple administrative transfer, $300 from their grants and programs to their postage. And here we have register and recorder, bill that needs paid for their antivirus software. And they have a shortage of funds in their materials and supplies to cover it. So the transfer of funds that'll cover through the end of the year. From their technology fund, which I'll note the register and recorder is a special office. They collect certain fees that are associated with their processing of deeds, of wills, of the stuff that they undertake in that office. Those fees are then applied to a technology fund, which the register and recorder is able to utilize to fund different upgrades, different services that are incurred in that office. So we're moving $1,500 from her technology fund to materials and supplies. And I will take a motion to approve the aforementioned administrative transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Very motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Questions on the motion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Transfers have been made. Up next, I'll take a motion to amend our agenda to allow for voting on resolutions 2020-244 through 2020-252.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, questions on the motion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign, motion carries. And we'll go through these as expeditiously as possible. Resolution 2020-244 from Domestic Relations, now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners to authorize an approval of contract Johnson Controls of 3159 Unionville Road, Cranberry Township, 16066 for all parts, labor, and maintenance of fire alarms as noted in the attached contract. The agreement will be in effect for the period of September 1, 2020 through August 31, 2021. Chairman of the Board of Commissioners authorized to sign all documentation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Hearing a motion second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Chris, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-245. Now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Lawrence County adopts, accept, concur with the supporting provisions of this resolution. The Lawrence County Pandemic Plan is hereby authorized for execution. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Chris, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-246. Now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that the board approves coronavirus relief fund recipient agreement between the above mentioned municipalities of Lawrence County. The above mentioned municipalities being the city of Newcastle, Mahoning Township, Neshannock Township, Pulaski Township, Shenango Township, Lamp Borough, and Washington Township. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. Chris, please.
Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-247. Now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners that authorization is hereby given to execute an agreement with unlimited number of juveniles on an as-needed basis as assigned by the court to Attorney John Bondavingo, who is replacing Attorney Nora DeBuono for professional legal services in juvenile cases. The agreement shall contain the following provisions. The agreement shall be in effect August 24th, 2020 through December 31, 2020, unless terminated sooner by either party. The compensation for such services shall be $24,000 per contract year to be paid in 12 equal monthly payments on or about the 10th of each month. Compensation for this contract period will be prorated effective as of August 24, 2020 to December 31, 2020. All payments made by the county will be by electronic transfer. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Question on the motion. All in favor, question on the motion. I went too fast
You
then.
did?
Chris, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-248. Now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, the agreement listed in item 2 shall be approved starting July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Authorization is hereby given to execute the following addendum. Lark Enterprises, Inc., as detailed in the attachment, description and rates are also listed in the attachment. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a motion is second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Chris, please call the roll.
Commissioner Spielvogel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyd?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 2020-249. Now therefore be resolved by Lawrence County Board of Commissioners, the agreement listed in item 2 shall be approved starting July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Authorization is hereby given to execute the following addendum. Patches placed